7 o'clock. There were no closed items. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to a full house. That's always nice to see. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, I will call on Patty Gerges to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance because she's over there standing by it.
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have a request, and that is for item 14.4, which is under general function consent, to be pulled from the consent agenda. Denise Spellman, who is our PTA Council President, would like to speak to that item.
Right now? Good.
No, when we get to the, but,
Okay, so we'll pull that one
yeah, you
at that
pull
point.
pull
Okay, good.
14.4.
So move to approve. Move to approve the agenda with that alteration. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good, okay. So tonight, given the full house, it isn't just to watch us, I'm sure, is to recognize the best of Torrance Unified. And we'll be recognizing the Employees of the Year. And I'm going to go down and start to hand out plaques, and I will call on Dr. Kim for the first recognition.
Thank you, President Lee. It's my pleasure to get us kicked off by inviting up here our Certificated Employee of the Year for Elementary, Lori Talbot. Please come on up. Lori began her service in the district in September 1991 at Carr Elementary School as a grade 4-5 teacher. For the last 28 years, she's been highly committed to excellence and has possessed a growth mindset where she continually reflects on maximizing learning for all students. She works hard every single day to provide challenging academic experiences for her students, in addition to supporting their social and emotional development. Not only is Lori a talented educator who has devoted herself to preparing TUSD students for success, but she gives of herself greatly to the Carr community by serving on several committees, including School Site Council, Math Leadership Team, Collaborative Solution Discovery, and she also serves as Carr's lead teacher. Lori regularly participates in professional development, including cognitively guided instruction, FactWise, Next Generation Science Standards, Beach City's NGSS Performance Task Development Project, and she's also served as a district leader for Common Core. Lori recently was awarded a Torrance refinery grant that allowed her to purchase $4,000 in iPads to use during differentiated math stations in her classroom. She also researched a new project called Genius Hour that helps to build on student interest and foster independence. Lori is a wonderful role model and an inspiring educator. She truly epitomizes the phrase lifelong learner, and she is always pushing her comfort zone, challenging herself to try new things, always with the goal of helping her students achieve success. We would like to congratulate Lori on being chosen as the Elementary Certificated Employee of the Year. Congratulations. Also with us tonight is Katie Schenkelberg, the proud principal of Carr Elementary School. Thank you for being here. Next, please come on up and let's welcome Carlin Gonzalez, our Classified Employee of the Year for Elementary. Carla is the kind of employee every administrator hopes to have on staff. In her position as a paraeducator Tier 1, she is diligent and she's a wonderful worker who uses professional skills with all students and staff alike. What sets Carla apart is her willingness and ability to go above and beyond in every responsibility, every challenge, and every setting that has presented itself in the more than 20 years of her service to the entire ANZUS school community. In her work with special needs students, her skills are superlative. She is relentless in her goal to assist her students to head them towards independence. She has the perfect balance of nurture and inspire, as well as expect and challenge. Carla always gets the most rewarding results from every student. She voluntarily is a member of the Positive Behavior and Support Team to intervene with all students who are struggling with behaviors. Carla is extremely professional, loyal, and supported by all students and staff alike who work with her at ANZA. We'd like to congratulate Carla on being chosen the Elementary Classified Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Carla. Also joining us tonight is the equally proud principal of ANZA Elementary School, Mrs. Barb Marks.
Good evening. It's my privilege to introduce Megan Wareham, the Certificated Employee of the Year for middle schools. Megan began her employment in the district in September 2006 as a math teacher at Hull Middle School and has been dedicated and committed to all her students, families, and the community ever since. Megan wears many hats, including teacher leader for the math department chairperson, student council advisor, math team advisor for Hull and TUSD, Relay for Life chairperson, and achievement committee for students.
Wow.
Megan is also the co-coordinator of the TUSD Math Field Day. As a previous ExxonMobil grant recipient, she chose to use the grant to give unique experiences to Torrance students to further develop their mathematics skills. It was through her vision and leadership that Math Field Day was brought to our schools to allow students to use teamwork to become effective problem solvers. Every year, nearly 100 middle school students come out to demonstrate their math knowledge through competition and obtain an opportunity to attend and compete at the LA County Math Field Day. She has helped this program grow to include teams from all elementary and middle schools from grades 4 through 8. She is a natural leader, and her commitment to excellence and initiative to help make Hull Middle School the best it can be is evident in what she does for everyone. Megan was chosen to represent our district at the LACO Teacher of the Year program, and we are proud to say that she was chosen as one of the top 16 LA County Office of Education Teachers of the Year. Congratulations to Megan. Also representing Hull Middle School tonight is Principal Patty Gerges and many of her colleagues and teachers.
Many of our colleagues, Nice.
Next, I'd like to introduce Jessica Escueda, Classified Employee of the Year, Middle Schools. Jessica has served as the office assistant at Casimir Middle School since April 2017. She is a cheerful and diligent worker who takes pride in doing the best she can in whatever task she's given. Jessica's organizational skills and her ability to think critically in tense situations has made her an invaluable employee at Casimir. She is always willing to assist in helping to make the school run efficiently by offering valuable ideas and solutions, and always in a very professional manner. Jessica is bilingual, and this has proven to be very beneficial for our Spanish-speaking families. She's always willing to assist these families by giving helpful and timely information in regards to school functions. Jessica is a true professional and most deserving of being chosen as the Middle School Classified Employee of the Year. Congratulations. Representing the administration at Casimir Middle School also tonight, we have Assistant Principal John Sweet and colleague teacher Tina Gross.
And it is my pleasure to introduce our high school certificated employee of the year, Lori Akari. Lori began her service in the district office in September 2007 at North High School. She has a commitment to excellence and to the North High community that is unparalleled. Ms. Akari currently teaches biomedical science, athletic training, health education, and operates as North High's athletic trainer each and every day of the school year. Whether it's the implementation of a new biomedical science course, assisting the district leadership with updated instructional health science standards, managing grant funds for her program, running the school's credit recovery program, managing her online health course, or her watchful eye over 1,000 athletes at North High School, Lori is actively involved. Lori ensures all students have access to rigorous curriculum and academic opportunities. She brings in real-world experiences, connecting the content she teaches and exposing students to real-life learning experiences outside of the traditional instructional environment. She is dedicated to all students, whether they are her physical or virtual classroom students, students in her sports medicine program, or students participating in North High School's athletic program. She accommodates students with disabilities while supporting advanced students, especially those interested in career in sports medicine or biomedical science. Annually, Lori seeks and attends sports medicine and biomedical science professional development opportunities to improve her practice and bring her students the most current content and health science practices. As North High's lead biomedical science teacher, Lori mentors and supports 2 other North High science teachers and Casimir Magruder Middle School's biomedical science teachers throughout curriculum support and her expertise in teaching. We would like to congratulate Lori on being chosen as the High School Certificated Employee of the Year. And now let's give a big round of applause to our classified High School Employee of the Year, Debbie Yurta. Debbie began her Torrance Unified career in 1992 as both an instructional aide and noon supervisor at Anza Elementary School. In September 2006, she transitioned to her current position as the ASB accountant at West High. Debbie Yurta is an invaluable member of the West High team. She works every day to ensure the ASB office is run efficiently and has established guidelines. As a team player, she is dedicated to making sure all programs, directors, chairs, and students have a positive experience and are supported. Debbie is committed to her work, supporting site teammates and district colleagues, and dedicated to doing the best job possible. Since Debbie is an experienced and most senior ASB accountant in Torrance Unified, she has taken steps to support interview panels and assisting to train both new ASB accountants as well as our own new business office staff. Debbie is a lifelong learner who prides herself on keeping up to date on the latest resources, trends, and ASB guidelines. She is also a problem solver whose flexibility and innovation on the job is much appreciated. Her commitment to excellence shines in her work ethic every day. Congratulations, Debbie, on being chosen the Classified Employee of the Year.
Please help me congratulate Armando Chavez, our Certificated Employee of the Year for Adult School. Armando began working for Torrance Adult School in January 2011 as an instructional assistant computer science. He dedicated himself to obtain an adult education teaching credential and began working as an online teacher for the adult secondary education program in 2011-12. Armando demonstrates excellent student rapport. He has obtained extensive knowledge with computer-assisted and distance learning, as well as with specific subjects of social studies, math, and Spanish. He has been a huge benefit to our school. Students consistently comment on his ability to explain concepts in whatever online subject they are taking in a way they can understand. Armando has the unique quality of making all students comfortable in a highly diversified classroom. Armando was instrumental in upgrading and modifying our online curriculum for A through G, University of California curriculum approval process. Armando utilized his skills of understanding the curriculum and communicating with online providers to collaboratively update 10 year-long courses. He is a very dedicated team member to the Torrance Adult School faculty and humbly provides his contributions to the efficiency of the adult academic education program. We would like to congratulate Armando on being chosen as the Adult School Certificated Employee of the Year. Please help me congratulate Liliana Ortiz, Classified Employee of the Year, Adult School. Liliana began her work at Torrance Adult School in October 2017 as a career placement coordinator and has taken this position to a level that places Torrance Adult School in the midst of corporate and community partnerships. Liliana is dedicated, efficient, and well-organized. She is competent in all that she does and established relationships for Torrance Adult School with many local and community businesses. As a result, we are working with and have developed ESL classes for German Machine Products Incorporated and will be working with King's Hawaiian Bakery in the future. Liliana has recruited Robert Half as an entry-level opportunity for our business and finance students, and Robert Half has graciously accepted serving on our Career and Technical Education Advisory Board. Career preparation labs, field trips to companies, job fairs, and colleges, pre-apprenticeship programs, and pathways are just part of the new opportunities Liliana has initiated for Torrance Adult School. Liliana also manages to see students on a one-to-one basis as well as a career preparation lab to assist with direct career counseling. This includes resume development, interview practices, and application completion. She has quickly developed a pathway for students to receive help in their area of need, whether it be academic, career, or personal. We would like to congratulate Liliana on being chosen as the Adult School Classified Employee of the Year. Congratulations.
If I could now call up Lori Chandley as the Certificated Employee of the Year for District Support. Lori has been working with the district for over 25 years with unceasing passion and dedication for student achievement. From the beginning of her career as a social studies teacher at West High School, she looked for ways to differentiate instruction to meet the needs of all her students, especially English learners. She was quickly promoted to the ELD program specialist position, where her vision for student achievement stretched to include all TUSD students. Her dedication to all students is very evident. When a problem is identified, she researches a solution and then works to see it to completion. Lori has many accomplishments that include leading the planning and implementation of the annual DELMAC conference, which provides resources and support for parents of English learners, students, and teachers and administrators. Facilitating the summer slide program for struggling students in all of our Title I schools. Co-leading the facilitation of the Wright Institute, a national academic excellence model for professional development, and many others. Lori consistently sparks vision and passion in those around her, focusing on students, as they are the heart of the matter in every decision she makes. Congratulations, Lori, on your award for District Support Certificate Employee of the Year.
Congratulations. Yay, Lori.
And last but not least, Classified Employee of the Year for District Support, Orly David. Orly began his service in the district in January of 2000 as an account payroll clerk, and in 2005 was promoted to the categorical funding specialist position. Orly monitors and maintains thousands of account strings for several district and site categorical budgets. Principals rely heavily on his ability to project salaries and other costs for categorically funded positions at schools. These near-exact cost projections help sites accurately budget and plan programs for students. His work on the consolidated application, federal program monitoring, and tracking expenditures for tens of millions of dollars, each with specific intended uses and restrictions, is nothing short of amazing. Orly's work ethic is unwavering. He works with site administrators by helping to find budgetary solutions, explaining costs and balances, and resolving issues. He does all this with a calm, humble demeanor. Congratulations, Orderly, on being selected Classified Employee of the Year.
I'm sure there's a lot of dinners that are going to get bought tonight and things like that, so flowers to give and all those kinds of things, so you do not have to stay and watch this fascinating and engrossing meeting that we're going to have. So if you can stay if you want to, but if you want to leave, it's totally okay.
Stay.
Let's have a 2-minute recess.
Yes, please. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service. Thank you, guys.
More than 2.
Funny, I saw you driving the other day. Hi, Mrs. Yarta. How are you? How are you?
Usually Amanda.
Yes, that's Miss Yang.
So this is always good.
Hi. Oh my goodness, Amanda. Exactly. Okay, sorry.
Put your purse on.
Sorry. I was waiting for Dad, but Dad's that way. Oh, okay. Cheyenne, a mile away. This is my friend Greta, and you know Carol. Congrats! Oh, thank you so much. We went to high school together, but we always wanted your mom and I. Oh no!
She is the best. I was gonna say she was one of them.
I can't make it. My friend Carla. This is my friend Taylor. No, you're good.
Move on out, ladies.
We had a big ass this week here, just saying, big ass this week.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good news. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we'll start now with report by student representative, Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, members of the board. I'd like to introduce South High ASB Student Council President Yusei Fujikura to announce what's going on at the schools. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So at South High School, we had a fall sports pep rally, which went pretty well, in my opinion. Some students fell into a Jello pool while playing tug-of-war, so that was exciting. Jello pool, yeah. So then we filled a tub with a bunch of, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah.
It's probably pretty cold, too.
And our homecoming is this Saturday, so we're excited for that. Our homecoming spirit week is actually going pretty well. We had a Mad Hatter Monday where students were allowed to wear hats to school, and then tomorrow we have Twin Tuesday. Wednesday we have a school holiday, I believe, and then on Thursday we're having a tie-dye day, and then on Friday we have pink out. So yeah, and then we also have a homecoming football game on Friday.
Who you playing?
That Torrance? Torrance High School, yes. I should probably know that, but yeah. We are developing our canned food drive, and we're actually having a canned food drive car wash where people can bring cans and then we'll give them a car wash, so yes. We're still working on our class competition day. And then we're also starting to work on a multicultural night and also a club competition. And we've also been working on a flash mob, which was supposed to happen for the last fall sports pep rally, but we didn't have enough time to execute it, so we pushed it to the winter sports pep rally. And finally, we are thinking about doing a teacher fashion show where students get to dress up teachers and have all fun with that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're off to the good news student presentations from Carr Elementary and Magruder Middle School. We'll start with Dr. Kim.
Thank you again, President Lee. It's my pleasure to introduce one of our student leaders from Carr Elementary School, Nyla Pope. Please come on up. Let's give a round of applause. And again, we're joined by the proud principal of Carr Elementary, Katie Schenkelberg. Nyla, please tell us what's happening at Carr.
Hi everyone, my name is Nyla Pope and I'm a 5th grade student here at Carr Elementary. My favorite thing about 5th grade is that we get to switch classes. We have science and math with Ms. Talbot and English and social studies with Ms. Nelson. There are some other great things that are happening at Carr. Peer mediation is a club where 5th grade students are out on the yard at recess and lunch helping students solve problems. I'm a peer mediator and I actually learn more from the other students that I help. I have to help figure out how to help them solve problems so that they can do it on their own the next time, and I really like doing that. Running club is something we do once a week where we run laps before school at 8 a.m. It's really cool because my mom and other parents come out to run with us. When it is time for class, my brain is ready to learn and start the day. Running club helps my body and my mind. In our mindfulness class, we do yoga, play silent ball, breathe, and do other fun things after school once a week. This class helps us learn about listening to our breath, new stretches, yoga poses, and learning about how we feel, which helps us to relax and focus. Carr has a lot of fun and helpful things happening at our school, and I'm glad I could be here tonight and talk to you about them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I'd like to actually welcome Principal of Magruder Middle School, Elisa Nunez, to the podium, and she has several student representatives tonight, so I'm going to have her introduce them.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce 3 amazing young ladies. We have Miss Melina, Miss Azul, and Miss Jordan, who will be sharing Magruder news with you. Cool.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Mannon, and cabinet. I am Jordan.
I'm Azul.
And I'm Melina.
And we are here representing Magruder Middle School. In addition to being 8th graders, we are also Girl Scouts from Troop 15825 who are working on our Silver Award. Our project goal is to educate students about single-use plastic so we can eliminate it at Magruder.
Last week at Magruder, we had Club Day. 22 clubs were represented, such as Book Club, Fancy Book Club, Art Club, Baking Club, K-Pop Club, and many more. These clubs allow students to share their hobbies with one another. Students run the clubs, but they need to ask a teacher to sponsor and host them. Students gain leadership qualities as they have fun. Each year of being here, we have enjoyed seeing students get more and more confident and comfortable with themselves. The 3 of us are starting a club as well, the Green Team. This club will get more students involved in our campaign to eliminate single-use plastic.
Besides all the great clubs, another great thing about Magruder is the teachers. They always go above and beyond to help our students here at Magruder. An example of this is when Mr. Bartlett, our 8th grade science teacher, taught about force and acceleration by having students in giant inflatable Zorb balls crash into one another and see how far each student went. Another example is how Miss Fisher, our librarian, stays after school on a daily basis to help kids with homework, and it also gives students an opportunity to work online with our new and improved computer labs.
Magruder is also working on a gymnasium so the students won't get too much UV rays. The gymnasium is under construction but should be done by the beginning of 2020. The gym will be the size of one full basketball court and will allow us to have plenty of space. The gym will also prepare students for high school PE and motivate them to try harder in their PE class.
Also, throughout Magruder's history in the past 5 years,
One thing has really changed in Magruder. This is the sorting station. These set of bins and trays allow our waste and uneaten food to be sorted so it gets recycled instead of going to a landfill. One of the things that kids really like is the free bin, because kids can leave the unwanted food in the free bin. No food at Magruder ever goes to waste. We are excited that the school board adopted the policy that all schools have to have a free bin because it means less waste in the landfill. There is so much more to talk about, but I'm sure we have hit our time limit. We invite you to come to Magruder and see things for yourself. Thank you for your time, and we hope these words will inform you more about our school.
Mr. Gerson. You have a school, hold on.
I know it's unusual, but I wanted to ask our leaders from Magruder a question. I noticed that Magruder was extremely well represented at the first City of Torrance Co-Rec Dance. And I was just wondering if any of you knew what Magruder did special to have so many participants in that program.
We announced it we always announce the co-rec clubs in our daily announcements. So that might have motivated kids and made them interested to go and attend the co-rec dance.
Thank you so much.
We also have a poster up by the lunch area where everyone can see.
Great.
Well, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okey doke. If there's parents or principals from that group, you can go too. There we go, they're all going out, there you go. You don't have to stay to the middle end.
Thanks for coming.
I've got some readouts. Let's see if I got them in order. Yes, the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 345 for 345, right? Or 845.
Yeah.
It's been a tough 5 days. For 2019-2020 will be submitted to the regular meeting to the Board of Education held on October 7th, 2019. Per rules require that no formal response or discussion be held at this time. As you are aware, state law provides we hold a hearing for public input regarding the Torrance Unified School District's initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 845 for 2019-2020. Copies of this proposal will be available to the public in all city libraries and in the Human Resources Department. Time for public comment on the contract proposal will be provided at the October 21st, 2019 Board of Education meeting. 9.4, the CSEA Chapter 845 initial proposal for the 2019-2020 will be submitted to the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on October 7th, 2019. Per rules require that no formal response or discussion be held at this time. As you are aware, state law provides that we hold a hearing for public input regarding CSEA Chapter 845 initial proposal for 2019-2020. Copies of the proposal will be available to the public in all city libraries and the Human Resources Department. Time for public comment on the contract proposal will be provided at the October 2019 Board of Education meeting. I've accomplished that. That's good. Okay, public hearings, 10.1, public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials 2019-2020. Opening statement, this is a duly notified notice public hearing for Educational Code // 60119 1240.3 82605 regarding the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 2019-2020 school years. Any interested persons are now afforded the opportunity to be heard. Okay. Since no majority protest has been filed, this hearing is now concluded, and the board may now consider the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for school year 2019-2020. Good. Okay. It's now time for oral communications. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public in order to discuss district business in an orderly manner for the privacy and safety of the speakers and to help staff respond more directly to board policies, require that public presentation of the board comply with certain procedures, including speakers to non-agenda items may address only items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Time allotted for such presentation is limited to 3 minutes. Total time allocated for public input on non-agenda items is limited to 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to state their name, address the president from the podium, and adhere to the applicable time limits. Complaints against employees or students will normally be heard in closed session, and the district's complaint procedure should be followed. We have a couple of cards. I will call up first Holly King.
Hi. We are new to the district this year, and my daughter, we changed schools because we changed locations at about 2.5 weeks in. But the curriculum is totally different. The math at one school is totally different than it is at another school. Different books, different programs. So my question is, why within the district are there different curriculums when the school moves kids around at their discretion? It's very hard for a student to start something and then 2 weeks later they're thrown into something else that they've never seen before. Shouldn't it, inter-district, be the same?
Doctor, if you can give that information to Dr. Crumpy, who's our Chief Academic Officer, he will contact you.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
You'll get the answer.
Okay.
It's good.
Thank you.
Next up is Kristen Anwander. I probably blew that pretty bad, but there you go. She'll correct me.
Kristen Anwanter.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, Mr. President and the board. My question is actually kind of similar. I'm curious as to why there is not a set district policy across all schools when it comes to homework and recess. I actually wrote you a letter a few weeks ago about the recess issue at Lincoln Elementary that was eliminated, and so that was about mid-September. I still don't have an answer on that one. So I am curious about the policy. It's homework and recess particular, but in general I've noticed that across the district, schools are doing all sorts of different things, and when it comes to the academic and emotional health of our students, which I feel homework and recess play into, why there is not a general policy on that.
Mr. President, if you'll give the information to Dr. Ken, who's our Senior Director for Elementary School, contact you. There is a board policy on what
Okay. Great, because I've never been able to find it on any website or it's okay. It's very evasive when you ask the principals at the school sites. I have 3 kids and so I've never really gotten a straight answer. It's been very evasive, and I'm still waiting.
Dr. Kim will get that for you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for oral communications? Great. Discussion action items, instruction to the public, speakers willing to address the board on agenda topics are permitted 3 minutes per topic. Total time granted for public input shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic. The board policies require that public presentation of the board comply with certain procedures, including items 2 through 4 listed in oral communications. We need to adopt a resolution for textbooks and instructional material compliance. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Seconded.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay. We need to adopt a resolution in support of SoCal Rock, and Mrs. Reagan's will talk to that. And we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second. Oops, thank you for that. I just wanted to bring this to your attention that we are in fact creating a resolution in support of SoCal Rock so that CTIG funding which for those of you who don't know what that means, it's Career Technical Education Incentive Grant that was awarded to them previously that they did not receive this year because of some issues with how shall we say this, paperwork.
Okay.
Movement and sharing, and lack of communication in that respect. So we're trying to make sure that it does come back. In fact, it says here partly due to miscommunication, so it's hard to know exactly what happened in that case. But the information that needs to go to the state in order to be eligible once again to receive these funds that we were not included in last year is to have a resolution presented to each governing board for the JPA districts that are part of SoCal Rocks. So I wanted to bring this to you and just read some of the things that are included in this resolution, because I think it actually does a really good job of generally sort of expounding on the sorts of things that SoCal Rock does do for our community, that it provides high-quality CTE and has for 52 years. It's been around for 52 years. It's a very long time. That SoCal Rock provides career exploration and guidance, develops industry partnerships for externships and advisement, provides training aligned to industry standards, demonstrates effective organizational design, adapts courses according to industry and economic demands, hires highly qualified staff members and places a high priority on staff development, is actively involved with community stakeholders, continually evaluates staff, systems, and courses to stay industry current, and promotes CTE in every facet of its operation. We still remain, I believe, committed to supporting SoCal Rock and trying to find funding sources for them wherever they might be. So I'm hopeful that we can support this resolution and pass it forward.
As a parent of someone who went to Scrock and appreciated it, I think it's always a good program and one that needs to grow and expand to meet the needs of the community. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
And we'll hope that the funding does resume. I do have a little bit of information about SoCal Rock. Should I just go ahead and
Do it now.
share that now? We did receive from the superintendent, SoCal Rock has its own superintendent. I don't know if you folks even know that, but he does an annual report on the sorts of things that are going on at SoCal Rock, and up to and including their enrollments over the years. And I just wanted to share some information with you folks about the sort of the alteration in enrollment that has happened in the last few years. And that is largely responsible perhaps for some of the financial issues that they're having at this point in time. For those of us who were around when the local control funding formula came into effect, they distributed the CTE funds to every school district rather than continuing to directly support the center, which is what had happened for the first 45 years of its history. So all of a sudden there was no funding, so they had to figure out how to be, and this is in the words of the Department of Finance, a fully fee-supported funding model. And that is the goal for the organization, and that is the goal for the Department of Finance. I can tell you from the state because the gentleman came and spoke with us and reiterated several times that that needed to happen, and he was disturbed by the change in enrollment that he could see actually in the numbers that were presented to him. Just for an example, El Segundo in 2017 had 12 students. I know that's not a huge number of kids, but in 2000, and then spring enrollment was 30, so they had a total of 43 last year, and it's reduced by about half this year. Inglewood Unified School District used to send 300 to 400 students. For those of us who don't know, they are in state receivership. Is that the correct terminology? So in fact, they have sent literally 0 students to the center for CTE education, but do have a few teachers on their own campus where they do some education of their own kids at home. So those 300 or 400 students each year are no longer coming to the center. Manhattan Beach is similar in that there's 76 kids from last year, and that's about reduced by about a third this year. And the same is true for the other school districts, Palos Verdes, Redondo Beach, and Torrance. It's more striking for Torrance because we had 500 students in 17-18, and I expect that our actual numbers for this year will be significantly less than that. So the totals are about half of what they were about 5 years ago in terms of students being sent to the center, and that's for high school students. But what has happened in that time period is that they have expanded upon their adult program and created more adult classes that are fee-supported, and that has helped to at least keep the center afloat. So they're, in fact, probably, I asked the Department of Finance gentleman if it mattered if the funders were from high school students or from adults, and he said it didn't matter at all as long as the funding came to the center and could help to support the center. So I just wanted to tell you where it was and what's happening there, and that they were reiterating from the Department of Finance that there will be no more monies coming directly to SoCal Rock. They had the advantage of having some funds that actually Assemblymember Maritsucci had gotten for them in the last few years, but that money will be finished as of next year, so they will have to find any other source of funding that they can. It's been an interesting process.
Mr. Gerson.
Mrs. Reagans, thank you for all the information. You know how much I love numbers. I don't know if you can answer this question, but I know you'd know where to look. In our resolution, there were two places where they talked about curriculum. And I had 3 people at the City of Torrance's Strategic Planning Committee ask, is there a mechanism for recommending curriculum?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things on the resolution, if you notice, is that they are constantly interacting with industry folks, evaluating staff systems and courses to stay industry current. They do have a community panel that they're constantly consulting as to what classes are important and necessary for the students to develop skills to use in industry. So that would be the perfect place. And actually, the superintendent would be the person to contact to be part of that.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Hahn?
Another quick question. Thank you. The question is, first question is, do they identify why there is such a major drop-off in enrollment?
There's many different reasons potentially, but for us, I know that we have taken some of the CTE monies and pursued Project Lead the Way and CTE classes within our own curriculum.
Right, so that's it. So a follow-up to that question then, is that if they're moving more toward adult education, is that going to conflict with our adult school for us?
Potentially, and in fact, I do believe that perhaps the competition that they have not only with our adult school, but with El Camino College and a variety of other training programs, because they are moving into that adult area, is going to be paramount as to whether they'll be successful or not.
One comment back,
Yeah.
Mr. Hahn. The superintendents have pointed this out and do believe that SoCal Rock has a problem because the JPA agreement does not call for adult students.
Okay.
It is a high school program for the districts that are a part of the JPA. It does not mention adult students.
Right.
Adult students also pay less than what we would pay for one of our high school students. So in fact, we are supplementing funds for adult students, which the superintendents do not agree with either. And that's the reason that School Services of California is doing the study, which will come back to the superintendents and also SoCal Rock.
Okay, the reason why I asked that question is because it sounds like there is a conflict there.
Potentially.
And we just made a resolution saying that we're supporting SoCal Rock. And I felt like we should have this discussion prior before we had the resolution. Because I think what the resolution sounds great until we heard this information, in terms of adult school moving to that direction, in terms of the drop in enrollment. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know, that's what it's called. I'm just wondering, it just seems a little bit backwards that we made a resolution supporting this when it's going to go into conflict with our adult school as well as the enrollment issue. So I don't know. I'm just bringing it out to the board. Something that, to me, it just seems backwards, and it seems like it's weird that we made a resolution saying that we're going to support SoCal Rock. And so,
Excuse me, the resolution was from SoCal Rock, not
Yes.
from the district.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're asking us to approve
Correct.
the resolution. So
That
and
is correct.
But what my point is that we said we're going to support it. We just had that motion. So
Right.
it just seemed backwards that we did that without the
No.
full information. That's
Here's-
just my point.
Yeah, and there is a conflict, but I guess the concept of SCROC in the community, which I'm maybe the oldest school board member, but certainly went to school around here. The concept of SCROC is wonderful. And certainly as we go forward, having a SCROC is a benefit to Torrance Unified. As a parent who has one son who wasn't very good at high school or any of those things, but excelled at the career technical education things, and it provided services to him both at West High School with the wood program and there in the welding program and those kinds of things. So I don't know that it's in conflict in that we need a SCROC. This community's better for SCROC as long as it's run efficiently and in a way that serves the people that it's supposed to serve. So it's a little off. It's having challenges, but I think the community's better if we have a functioning SCROC, and to that extent, I don't think the resolution is completely in conflict. They need to fix how they do things a little bit. And I think the superintendents now are very
I agree.
focused on fixing that. And I think with school services coming in and talking about their operations, and I think to some extent, the SCROC board and the superintendent seeing the cliff at the end of the road sometimes creates a little more urgency to solve the problem. So I'm inclined to let them see if they can solve it. And I think that it's a great program, and let's see what they do from an entrepreneurial standpoint and from a cost standpoint and those kinds of things. I mean, I don't mind competition. I live in a competitive environment in my world. If we have a better program or if they have a better program, it makes us both better if we're trying to compete. But if it's in conflict with their chart of work, then that needs to be resolved within the JPA and certainly needs to pay its own way. So,
And in fact, the major suggestion from the Department of Finance, as well as, I can remember from about 6 years ago when this came up first at SoCal Rock, is that we collaborate and cooperate with those other programs, and that we do define what it is that SCROC does best, or SoCal Rock does best. I try not to call it SCROC. What SoCal Rock does best, and that capitalize on those things, and then not put themselves in direct competition with the other folks that are doing those things fine. So they have a marvelous facility for auto mechanics, and for HVAC, and for plumbing and electrician training, and for beautician work, and a variety of things that many of the other programs do not have anywhere near the same extensive facilities available. So they actually have developed programs that are sort of a unique niche, and I've always believed that that's where they needed to really focus and try to maximize their involvement in those areas instead of expanding out and extending the lessening resources that they do have into other areas. In fact, I can tell you that they had to actually we had to close some classes in our adult school this year, but they had to close like 10 different classes that did not have sufficient enrollment, or for whom they could not find instructors. So I believe they've spread themselves too thin. and that they will have to pull back and reduce perhaps their offerings to things that are unique to them, so that there is not that degree of competition. And that is what the board is encouraging them to do, I can tell you, so.
But one comment. Mr. Hahn's comments are right on. And Mrs. Reagan's comments are right on. But this is something SoCal Rock is going to have to do for themselves.
Yep.
And what they have to do, sorry, but I said this 7 years ago, what they are going to have to do is offer classes that kids want to take. And number two, figure out how much it actually costs to offer those classes. And quite frankly, they're not doing either one right now. And until those two things happen at SoCal Rock, they are going to be on the downward trend in terms of not only kids, but financially. I do not see how they can be solvent, and we have said that for 7 years.
But that is why they hired the school services to do the analysis. The first report that they came back was not nearly specific or even indicative of the specific areas that we wanted to know about. So we sent them back to the drawing board and said, no, we need much more specific information about exact costs of classes, as well as overhead and staffing, et cetera, which they did not bring to us. And actually, having been on this SCROC board for, 8 years, I have never, ever seen that, even though at every single meeting we have asked for that. So we will continue to push for it and try to make sure we get the information we do need so that the superintendents can feel comfortable, and we will feel as though the value is there to actually send our kids there and pay the price that we think that their classes are worth.
And that's always been my concern,
Yep.
is that we, meaning Torrance Unified and other districts, have asked for this stuff, but the majority of the board hasn't been willing to hold management accountable. They have a unique board setup.
I'm more hopeful now, though, because many of them are new.
Okay, then that's, you
This
have,
time
you have a
around,
job.
maybe.
You have a job, but that's, yeah, it's one of those things that maybe needs to completely break, and then we can
Oh.
fix.
I would hate to
It's
see that, though.
painful, but
Yeah.
I know in business, sometimes bankruptcy is the best thing to happen, because then you can build it up from there with some urgency. Or reorganized, or whatever you call it in the
Yeah,
private,
yeah, no, I see what you're
public
saying.
sector.
Anyway, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have made it to general functions consent. I will pull item 14.4 and call on Denise Spellman.
Good evening. Okay, I'm not the last one here. Okay. I thought I drew the short stick or something. Good evening, thank you. It was brought to my attention that there'll be an adoption of the resolution for Red Ribbon Week, and so I was asked to speak a little bit about that. This year's Red Ribbon theme is Send a Message, Stay Drug-Free. And for those of you that do not know how Red Ribbon came about, the Red Ribbon campaign was started with drug traffickers in Mexico City murdered DEA agent Kiki Camarena in 1985. This began the continuing tradition of displaying red ribbons as a symbol of intolerance towards the use of drugs. The mission of Red Ribbon Campaign is to present a unified and visible commitment towards the creation of a drug-free America. The Red Ribbon Campaign is the oldest and largest drug prevention program in the nation, reaching millions of young people during Red Ribbon Week. It is an ideal way for people and communities to unite and take a visible stance against drugs. So we ask the community to please show your personal commitment to a drug-free lifestyle through the symbol of Red Ribbon. It is in the month of October. It's from October 23rd to the 31st. And a lot of the Torrance schools do have like a Red Ribbon campaign, and so they will be showing their support this month. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always a good program, and the kids all seem to enjoy it. Okay.
Can I just-
Yes.
Sorry, couldn't turn on my light fast enough. So there is a resolution, Denise, in the board agenda that will be in, well, actually, that we just pulled and we're considering separately. That is a resolution in support of Red Ribbon Week. So you can take this and pass it around and show everyone. And actually, I was just at an event where there were a number of police present, And they have it actually on their calendars. I said, oh, Red Ribbon Week is coming up. We're looking forward to that. And they work with many of our schools during that time period too, which is really neat. Thanks.
Good. Okay, we'll put that in with all the other consent items, and do I have a motion to approve them all?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have made it to the end. Anything additional, Mrs. Reagans?
Oh, yes, actually I do.
Okay, good.
I do, actually. I just have a few classified personnel anniversaries that I wanted to recognize since they're on our agenda for this month or this particular time. The following classified folks have completed 10 years of accredited service and are eligible for an anniversary increment. That 10-year person is Elaine Ruline. The 15 years of accredited service folks on this particular agenda include Jose Avalos, Chantel Lopez, and Mudita Mittal. And then 20 years of accredited service, we have some really long-term people that are working with our school district. 20 years of service include Laura Contreras, and then 25 years of accredited service, and that person is Rebecca Harmon. So thank you folks for serving our students and keeping our schools going. And these folks serve a variety of different positions: health services assistant, a custodian, a paraeducator, food service, staff assistant, school office, I mean, a variety of folks. So thank you for working with our schools and students. Thanks.
Good. Comments from members of the board. I'm a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. A couple of weeks ago, Mrs. Liu and I, along with our staff, met with the city council, their committee on citizen enrichment and development, and their staff to review the joint agreement between the school district and the city in using each other's facilities. Staff has been going, both staffs have been working on this for about 6 months, kind of hit a no movement zone, so we had a meeting. And what was resolved was that I had made a motion that we cancel the joint use agreement with 6 months' notice. And it was decided that staff was going to work together for the next 6 weeks or so to see if there were ways to fix the agreement to where it was beneficial for everyone concerned. To quote a Rotary line from Dr. Kim and other Rotarians here. But so they're going to go back, they're going to see what we can do to balance this agreement out, looking at a number of options. And at that point, we're hopeful that they can come to an agreement, and the committee will meet again November-ish, early December. And at that point, either we will have an agreement, we'll have a new joint use agreement and go forward, or quite possibly we'll look at eliminating the joint use agreement and looking at other options that we have available and that the city has available for that agreement. Who went first here? So,
I think Jeremy was first.
Mr. Gerson.
There were a lot of attachments in the agenda for that particular meeting, so I don't know if my math is correct. But when I was trying to calculate it across all the pages, am I reading it correctly that the city currently uses approximately 1,900 more hours of our facilities than we use of theirs?
At the moment, yes, because we have our own facilities now, and this has been the looming, a little bit like Scrock, this has been the looming issue that no one's really wanted to talk about. I know that the Torrance Unified School District's been talking about it for a couple of years and talking about how we need to come to some sort of an equitable agreement for both parties, and that's where we're at now. So if we cannot come to an agreement, I am going to recommend that we bring back to the board a resolution canceling the current agreement effective June 30th would be the end of both of our fiscal years. But I'm hopeful that something can get worked out because certainly that's a big program. The basketball program and the other programs that they use, they're of benefit to the community as a whole. But if we can't, we do have alternatives and we have discussed them. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we're kind of waiting to see what we get offered to some extent. So we'll see what that looks like.
Mr. Lee, if I may respond to Mr. Gerson's comment on the number of hours. We've never really, we track use of the outdoor playgrounds for youth basketball practice or use of the fields for various activities on both sides. But the hours that really count that we monitor very closely are the city use of our gyms. And then the city would monitor very closely, and there were limits set on the number of hours at the Armstrong Theater and the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. So it does look like there's thousands of hours that are used. That's just information that we pull from our system. They pull from their system based on permits that are submitted on either side of of Torrance Boulevard, I guess, if you want to say that. Because we have schools that use the parks, we have schools that use different things during the day, K-8 typically, but it's really the only things that we monitor closely and that were set forth in the agreement are caps on the number of hours of city use of the gyms and our use of the Armstrong Theater.
But on the flip side, last year we didn't even have half of our gyms up yet, and we're still building more. And as well as we're even giving hours to the Torrance Council of PTAs to try and balance more time. It's not actually the kids that, we're talking about even bigger imbalance if we start nitpicking.
Correct.
Clearly out of bounds. You're correct.
We could sublet out the Armstrong Center for maybe a Black Flag concert or something, but I don't know that we'll get away with that. X, I hear, is touring again. Anyway, I'm the only one old enough to know who either one of those bands is, I think. So, okay, Mr. Hahn.
For closing statements or technical questions?
I did have a question about this,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, you answered one of them, is that it would be effective June 30th. And I just wanted to reiterate that Don and I are the only ones that were here before this agreement was created, and it was not a better situation. Let's put it that way. So it would be really, really nice to try to preserve it in some way, because collaboration and cooperation obviously is better, and for our relationship as well as for serving our students and our community. So I'm hopeful that we can figure out something here.
I think the elected officials on both sides on Plaza del Amo and Torrance Boulevard really want to see some sort of a joint agreement. And I think given that impotence, we'll see something. We'll decide whether we like it or not, but we'll see something.
Okay.
And I think certainly going forward with, green space management and things like that, there's a number of opportunities for us to work together for the betterment of the community. But historically, and I can go way back to the 90s when I was on the city council, and it was a little chippy then too. So I always think of Clemenza stirring the spaghetti sauce and looking at Michael Corleone in Godfather 1, and he basically says, we got to have a war every 10 years because we just got to have a war every 10 years. So maybe this is just what we got to do so that we get through it and we end up with a better agreement on the other side.
Okay.
Is that a good metaphor? I don't know. It's my favorite movie, but it's good. So, okay, good. Oral comments, I will start with Mr. Gerson.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. So I was reading the resolution in support of Red Ribbon Week, and we see a lot of resolutions, and this one was actually my least favorite of all the ones I've seen. I didn't think it did justice to the importance, especially in this particular year. So I prepared a few, kind of like a brief history, very short, but so I was looking.
The 2018 market value for e-cigarettes and vapes, the industry, was an $11 billion industry last year. And in May 2018, the California Department of Public Health started its Flavors Hook Kids campaign, with commercials starting many months later, because I brought that up when I finally got to see them. In November 2018, the FDA finally gets involved and announces a future crackdown on flavors, except for mint and menthol. Interestingly enough, 2 days earlier, Juul announced that they would stop selling mango, fruit, cream, and cucumber flavors in retail stores. However, they didn't mention online sales. During the first half of 2019, Juul spent $1.9 million lobbying Washington, D.C. and the FDA in order to lobby against banning vape-flavored products, especially mint and menthol, the two most popular vape flavors. I got that info from KTLA 5. In March 2019, Mrs. Liu and I had the opportunity to go to Sacramento, where we lobbied for help in responding to the prevalence of teen vaping here in Torrance. With the assistance of our superintendent, Dr. Mannin, and our mayor, Mr. Fury, I was able to gather TUSD and TPD statistics to demonstrate the severity of the problem of teen vaping in our city. In September 2019, just last month, the number of serious breathing illnesses and lung disease related to vaping became over 530 people in 33 states since they started recording, which I don't even think is a full 12 months. October 1st, the beginning of this month, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors bans flavored tobacco products, which includes e-cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and menthol cigarettes. And that was a unanimous vote. And on October 4th, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which we call the CDC, issued a consumer alert advising people not to use vape products containing THC, because more of those products have been linked to the illnesses and deaths than those without. So I was thinking, vaping companies and supporters keep claiming that vaping is designed to help cigarette smokers quit. That's their big argument. But then I have to ask, why are they increasing the amount of nicotine ingested rather than weaning the already addicted by reducing the amounts of nicotine? Because they found a new delivery system, and it meant that they were able to increase the delivery of the amount of this highly addictive substance, which of course increases level of addiction, increases the number of people who become addicted, and of course increases their profits. But their delivery system and marketing were both a little too aggressive, and we've seen how quickly in a year and a half this epidemic has come across the entire U.S. So my message to parents, make sure that your children are not ordering vape paraphernalia or vape juice from online sources and having them delivered to their homes. The City of Torrance has had a ban in place preventing the sale of vape juice with THC, yet our principals and teachers have caught students with these products on our campuses because they can easily be purchased online. Please be vigilant and warn your children about the dangers of vaping. And I am really hopeful that this particular year, that all of our PTAs will take this Red Ribbon Week, this month, as a great opportunity to teach our children and help protect our students and inform them about the dangers of vaping. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Liu. Mr. Hahn.
Just two things. The first thing is that on the SoCal Rock issue is that I really want to see it succeed too, because I think that CTE is a very important thing for those people who have that future ahead of them. I think it's something that we definitely need, and I'm trying to figure out how can we as a district kind of be more of a partner with them in supporting the stability of that organization itself. I think right now is that when the economy is good, I think schools like that don't tend to do well because everyone has jobs. But I think that when the economy goes bad, people start thinking about maybe a career change. That's when you start seeing an uptick. And so hopefully that is a big maybe a big source of why the enrollment is down this year. But I think that it's something that's very important. The second issue is that obviously with the new schools, I think that it will be great. I know that I talked to Ben about this, but if we could think about maybe starting our own basketball amongst middle schools, having some kind of basketball tournament or something that we can celebrate, especially because these middle schools are coming online. It's something that I would love to see. I know, obviously, being a basketball coach myself, I love the game. But I think it'd be fun to utilize our new gyms and to really have the middle school kids get engaged and more of that spirit of the community. You know, it's fun when we have it for our elementary kids. It's fun to see all the schools come out and everyone cheering for their own school. It's a community event, and I think it'll be something great to see going forward.
I think that's a really cool idea. We have 8 middle schools. Well, soon we'll have 8 gyms, but I think we can work around the couple that don't have them quite yet. But I think that, I don't think it's in conflict with the rec program. And I remember a program like that when I was in 7th and 8th grade. We didn't have middle schools then, I'm so old. But I think it'd be something cool to look at, if not this year or next year or something like that. I mean, I think it would be, would build some camaraderie and some friendly competition among the 8 middle schools leading into high school would be kind of fun.
Not only boys, but girls.
Girls as well, yes.
Boys and girls.
So, yeah, that would be great fun. So, I would fully support that. Okay, good. Mrs. Reagan's, anything further? Good. Glad to be back in this time zone. So, anyway, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.